In Caracas, power is guarded by walls, soldiers, and Russian-made jets. Nicolás Maduro rules from the Miraflores Palace, convinced that threats from abroad can be met with fiery speeches and the roar of Su-30 fighters. Yet history shows that the greatest dangers often arrive quietly, unseen, and unstoppable. From the daring raid that ended Osama bin Laden's reign of terror to the stealth technology of America's newest jets, one question hangs heavy over Venezuela. What happens when old defenses meet a force built to strike first and vanish? For years, the United States has accused Nicolás Maduro of running a big drug network that reaches deep into the Americas. Washington says he worked with violent groups. Names that have become warnings: the Cartel de los Soles, the Sinaloa cartel, and Venezuela's own Tren de Aragua. Those claims have been part of a long fight between the two governments. In recent weeks, that fight turned louder. U.S. officials announced a reward offer of up to $50 million for information leading to Maduro's arrest.
$50 million reward for information leading to the arrest of Nicolás Maduro.
The U.S. Justice Department and other agencies say they have also seized hundreds of millions in assets tied to him: homes, cars, even private planes. In point to cocaine seizures, they link to the same network. Maduro has not moved like a man in hiding. From the palace balcony, he has spoken to crowds, fired off warnings at Washington, and called the accusations lies. Inside Venezuela, his inner circle still runs daily business. Orders get passed, supplies move, and the machines of power keep turning. Outside Venezuela, the U.S. keeps turning the screws. The 2020 indictment in a U.S. federal court laid out charges of narco-terrorism and conspiracy tied to high-level Venezuelan officials. That legal hammer has been swinging ever since. A single jet is about to rewrite the map. Planes fly fast. They come out of blue and become a sound that your chest remembers. 1 second, it is quiet. The next, the air fills with a thin, urgent roar. Pilots train for speed and surprise. If a target is truly worth top-level orders, a strike team will not waste time on fancy plans. They will pick the simplest path that works. The Miraflores defenses are many: honor guards, police, paramilitary groups said to be ready to move. But a U.S. jet doesn't care for fences or honor. It cares about altitude, angle, and the part of the palace that opens itself for a blink. The people in Caracas had learned to move around danger. Markets opened, taxis raced, and life went on. Yet when rumors of a U.S. hunt grew louder, when news of asset seizures and rewards spread, the mood shifted. Friends whisper, drivers look the other way, and soldiers tighten their lines. The palace, once a place of slow ceremony, took on the look of a real fort. But forts are built to slow men on foot and keep out those who come with ladders or battering rams. Jets and guided munitions are a different thing. They come from above, fast, and they change a moment into history. In Washington, the call was made. It is never a single person who makes such a decision. Many hands write that paper, many voices sign off. But when the order is clear, the machines awaken. Satellites pick up heat signatures. Drones trace patrol routes. Intelligence teams map every road that leads away from the palace. The plan shapes itself from pieces, where guards change shifts, where the president's convoy sleeps, which hangar hides the private jets that have become symbols of the case. Every move creates an opening. Every opening is a choice. On the ground in Caracas, men who spoke to each other in code tightened their belts. Palace staff checked lists, drivers kept vehicles nearby, and a small fleet of Mercedes and armored trucks waited under low roofs. The Presidential Honor Guard did what it does best: move people fast, form lines, and keep order. They were trained for coups, protests, and close protection. They were not trained, no one is, for the sky falling in a single, clean minute. There is a cold logic to airstrikes. Remove the command point, slow the enemy, and then move in. But the real work starts before the strike. It is in the dry voice of a radio operator saying, "We have eyes on target." It's in the slow, unreadable strings of coordinates on a screen. It is in the silent count of a crew chief packing munitions into a bay and closing the door. It is in the pilot's hand, steady on a stick, as the world below becomes a drawing and then a place. For those watching on the palace roofs, all this is invisible until the boom arrives. And then the sky speaks. A flash, a sound like a mountain tearing. Glass rains down. Men on balconies drop like broken marionettes. A flag smolders. The palace walls, for all their thickness, take the shape of what was hit. The communications hub, a hangar, a set of armored cars. The aim is to end the war of supplies and orders, not to burn a nation. But war is not clean, and a single strike can ripple into chaos. Wires that once carried a voice now carry smoke. The chain of command phrase. Radios squawk, then go dead. The world changes in a breath. Outside the marble and the gardens, the city pulses. People gather at windows, phones flood. Rumors bloom faster than truth. Some cry for help, some pray, some run. The U.S. message goes out in a formal tone. This was to stop narcotics, stop the flow of death, and prevent further harm. Others see it as an act of war, a line crossed, a sovereign struck. Allies shift in their seats, words are measured, and diplomats speak of the need for calm even as officers tally losses. The Miraflores Palace is heavy with history and ceremony. It is also a place of men who know how to hide. There are tunnels, garages, side doors, and the kind of small rooms that keep secrets. Its guards can block roads and scatter crowds, and its walls can take a blow and hold. But no wall can stop a jet from falling through a clear open sky. The fortress feels big and final until the moment strategy meets speed. This fortress is not difficult for a U.S. jet to bring down in seconds. The F-22 Raptor is a fighter jet made to do four things very well: hide, see, move, and strike. Its shape and skin reduce what enemy radar can pick up. That low visibility gives the jet time and room to choose what to do. When the plane is hard to spot, it can come close without warning and protect other forces simply by being there. The engines are powerful. They let the jet cruise at supersonic speed without firing the afterburners. That ability, called supercruise, means the plane reaches targets faster and uses less fuel while doing it. The design and the extra thrust also let the pilot change speed and altitude quickly. In simple terms, the Raptor can get where it needs to be fast and stay there longer than many other fighters. Inside the cockpit, the pilot sees a single combined picture made from many sensors. Radar returns, infrared signals, and navigation data are fused into one clear view. This sensor fusion helps the pilot find threats first and choose the right moment to act. The easier it is for one person to understand the air and ground picture, the faster and safer the response can be. The F-22 was built to win the first fight. In air-to-air use, it carries missiles like the AMRAAM and the Sidewinder. These let the pilot identify and engage hostile aircraft at range and in close combat. The jet can also carry bombs for hitting ground targets. It can tuck two 1,000-pound GPS-guided bombs inside its bays and still carry missiles for protection. Future upgrades were planned to add more flexible small bombs, widening its strike options. Low observability and supercruise together shrink the time that ground-based air defenses have to lock on. That means surface-to-air missile systems have less chance to detect and engage the jet. The Raptor can also protect other assets by clearing the airspace and acting as a shield for slower, larger aircraft. The aerodynamics, advanced flight controls, and thrust vectoring give the jet a high level of maneuverability. It can outturn or outclimb many known or projected fighters. That agility matters in tight dogfights, and when a quick move can change the outcome of a sortie. The aircraft was designed with sustainment in mind. Better reliability and easier maintenance mean the jet can fly more often with fewer crew members working on it. That increases the number of missions the force can launch without a huge ground crew. The result is more presence and more sorties over a longer period. The Raptor's story began in the search for an advanced tactical fighter. Prototypes flew in the 1990s, and after testing and design work, the chosen plane moved into production in the early 2000s. Over the years, the design was tested, refined, and fielded to units across the Air Force so that the plane's systems and tactics could mature together. Picture the Raptor sliding out of the sky like a dark thought into the Miraflores Palace. It arrives quietly, almost unseen, its shape letting it slip past early warning. The pilot watches a single clear picture on the screens, every heat spot and antenna and moving car laid out like points on a map. The jet carries the kind of weapons that strike clean and fast. In seconds, a precise hit can black out the palace's voices, burn the hangars that hide escaped planes, and turn command rooms into rubble. The plane wastes no time. It comes in fast, reaches the target before alarms can fully wake, and delivers a blow so sudden the palace cannot answer. Radios go silent. Cameras melt into smoke. The lines that move orders and men break in an instant. Stone and glass give way where the blow lands, and a place that felt untouchable falls down in a single, sharp moment. Life in the streets stutters as people try to make sense of what they just saw. The Raptor moves on, leaving a changed map behind, a capital that wakes to find its center of power gone in the time it takes to take a breath. But the F-22 Raptor is not the only jet that can bring down Maduro's fortress within seconds. The F-35A is not just another jet. It is a flying sensor, a moving command post, and a tool that lets one pilot see and act with a reach that used to take whole fleets. Its shape and skin cut down how well radars can find it. Inside, the jet gathers data from many sensors and turns that data into one clean picture for the pilot. The F-35's distributed aperture system gives the pilot a full, day and night view around the plane, and the electro-optical targeting system reaches out to spot and help aim at ground and air threats. Together, those systems make the pilot feel like they are sitting in the center of a web of sight. The pilot wears a helmet that brings the plane's mind into view. Targets, warnings, and maps are shown right on the visor. The pilot can look at a point in the sky or on the ground and have the jet systems point weapons or sensors that way. That helmet turns a pilot's head into a targeting cue and makes complex fighting feel simple and fast. Under the skin, the F-35's brain fuses everything together. Radar returns, infrared spots, signals from other planes, and navigation data become one picture. This fusion gives the pilot the first clear look at threats and friends. It cuts the time between seeing a danger and acting on it. It lets a small force make big moves because one jet can share what it sees with others. The engine gives the jet real bite. It produces enormous thrust, so the F-35 can sprint when it must. That raw power in the airframe's design let it climb, dash, or hold position with speed and confidence. In plain words, the jet gets where it needs to be fast and stays ready to fight when it gets there. Behind the flying and the fighting is a system that keeps the jet ready. A big part of the F-35 idea is to make the plane easy to fix and fast to turn around. Digital logistics and health monitoring tools watch the jet's state, track parts, and help crews plan work so the plane flies more and waits less. That support system is part of why the jet can be counted on day after day. The F-35 can do the old fighter job and more. It can fight other planes. It can find and hit targets on the ground. It can talk quietly to ships, satellites, and other jets, and hand off pictures and targets. It was built with partners across the world. Many nations work with the program and plan to use the jet in shared missions. That makes it a node in a larger net of forces, not just a single fast plane. Now imagine the scene. The base where Nicolás Maduro rules sits inside high walls and guarded gates. Watchtowers dot the perimeter. Hangars and garages hide cars and planes. Antenna farms and satellite dishes feed images and orders into rooms beneath the marble. Courtyards and gardens give the place a calm face, but beneath that calm are rooms that run a country. Up high, a single F-35 slides into view. It is not loud at first. You notice a shadow, then a shape. The pilot is calm. The screens show every light, every hot engine, every antenna that speaks out. The helmet paints the view on the visor. The plane does not rush. It picks the moment. In a beat, what was a watch site becomes a target. The jet's sensors lock on the emitters that carry orders and news. The targeting system draws a tight line on the map where the jet will strike. The bombs it can carry find narrow marks, a communications hub, a hangar, a line of armored vehicles. The weapons in the belly are guided. They fall with machine-quiet accuracy. The point is to break the things that move orders, to stop the flow of voice and movement, and to do it without burning the whole city down. The strike is quick, a flash and a crack. The mast that fed live images falls. A hangar with a private plane goes dark and then hot. A cluster of vehicles that could carry a leader out is turned to ash. Radios that once carried commands grow still. Cameras black out. People on the streets stop and look up. Time shrinks. The center of power that felt shielded and permanent is suddenly fractured. Where once stood a command that moved men and money, there is now silence and smoke. The F-35 moves away with the same calm it came in with. It hands off data to other platforms. Satellites and drones take the pictures and feed them back into the net. Teams far away watch the live feed and move their plans. The pilot files a short report, and the logistics net begins to ready the jet for its next mission. The city breathes in a new air. That one strike does not solve everything. It changes the map in a flash and gives those who follow a moment to act. This is not a description of orders or a how-to. It is a picture of what speed, stealth, and fused sight can do when they are brought together. The F-35 is made so a small number of jets and pilots can have outsized effects. The plane's tools aim to cut the chain of command, to blind a network of control, and to do so with precision that limits wider damage. After the strike, the day is loud with talk. Journalists search for facts, diplomats call, hospitals admit the hurt. People tell stories of small kindnesses in the chaos. Men who had trusted certain paths of escape find those paths gone. The legal and political work that follows is slow and loud. Papers and courts must sort out the meaning of what happened. Maps and power lines change hands in ways that take months and years to play out. But the moment that made those waves was built on the jet's ability to hide, to see, to move fast, and to hit where it counts. If Maduro slipped away and lived to see the smoke clear, his first move would be loud words. He has used big speeches before to warn the United States and to rally his people. In those broadcasts, he has framed any foreign pressure as an attack on Venezuela itself, even saying an assault on him could mean the end of the American empire. That kind of talk is meant to harden supporters, draw lines in the sand, and make any follower who doubts him think twice. Next would come a call to arms in his arsenal. The heart of his response would be the jets and helicopters Venezuela keeps for its defense. The most talked about fighters in Caracas are the Sukhoi Su-30 Mk2s bought from Russia, a heavy two-seat multi-role plane that can fight in the air and hit ground targets. Venezuela signed for a batch of Su-30s in the 2000s. Those planes brought a leap in reach and firepower for the Venezuelan Air Force. The Su-30 is not a simple plane. It mixes a strong airframe with thrust vectoring engines, which give it extra dogfight moves, and it can carry long-range missiles like the R-27ER and the R-77. That gives the Su-30 the tools to try to keep the sky near Venezuela risky for intruders. On paper, that makes it one of the most capable fighters in the region. But those are features on a checklist. How well they work depends on training, maintenance, spare parts, and the ground systems that feed them radar and targeting data. Venezuela also has older MiG-29s in its history and has talked about buying more over the years. The MiG-29 is a lighter, nimble jet built for short-range fights. In numbers and in tech, MiG-29s make for a fast reaction force that can defend key points close to home. But Venezuela's talk about MiGs has often met real limits. Money, spare parts, and logistics have made it hard to keep large fleets fully ready. Records show talks and plans over the years, but the picture is of planes that could help defend the airspace rather than dominate it outright. Helicopters like the Mi-35 add another layer. The Mi-35 is a heavy gunship that can carry troops, fire rockets, and move fast in rough ground. Venezuela has used Mi-35s at drills and in operations, and there have been accidents. Crashes were reported in past years during exercises and patrols. Helicopters are bold and useful, but they are also fragile in contested airspace. A helicopter's best work is close to the ground, and when the skies above are not full of high-tech fighters and sensors. So how would Maduro use what he has? First, he would make a show of being defended. Radar posts would be checked, and scrambled jets would race for the air, even if they stood little chance against stealthy, fast platforms like the F-22 or F-35. Pilots would be called, ground crews would hurry, and anti-air defenses would be readied. The message would be aimed as much at home as at the enemy. Look, the state fights back. The noise is for morale and for the watchers abroad. At the same time, the regime would move its key people and assets. Cars that once sat in open garages go into deep shelters. Sensitive documents and backup drives go underground. Private jets that could fly leaders away would be hidden, fueled, or burned if they might fall into enemy hands. The goal is to keep the leaders alive and to keep the chain of orders in place, or at least to preserve the core of the government so it can respond. Those steps are old tactics. Move the brain out of the bullseye and the body can still try to react. No plane or weapon can erase networks of people and loyalty overnight. Publicly, the tone would stay fierce. Maduro has used sharp rhetoric to frame any attack as an assault on national dignity. That approach does three jobs at once. It rallies those who already back him, it scares off those who might waver, and it creates diplomatic heat that can slow or complicate a foreign power's next move. Allies and rivals will speak, and Venezuela will push the story that the attack was a crime against the nation, not just against one man. Those diplomatic and media battles can matter as much as the hardware on the tarmac. On the harder side, if the base and its jets survive even in part, the hunt for escape routes would speed up. Intelligence teams would chase leads, safe houses would be checked, and small loyal units would be stood up to protect escape corridors. The Su-30s and MiG-29s could cover some of those moves, and helicopters could move small teams fast over rough ground. But here's the blunt fact. The F-22 and the F-35 are built with stealth, sensor fusion, and speed that can blunt or overcome those defenses. Those U.S. jets are not just faster or quieter. They are built to find what hides and to act on that view with precision. That technological gap matters a great deal in modern fights. After the first shock, the fight becomes slower and dirtier. Courts, diplomats, and spies take over in their own lanes. Domestic security forces would clamp down in parts of the city to stop unrest. International teams would shout at each other in press rooms and at the UN. The planes are just the first line. What follows is human, messy, and long. People lose jobs, trust frays, and bargains shift. Regimes have survived worse, and regimes have fallen after much less. The jet that changes the map in a breath does not by itself fix the deeper problems of money, loyalty, and law. Maduro would shout and scramble. He would use loud words on TV to rally people and call the strike a crime. Pilots would be ordered to the jets. Cars and papers would be shoved into bunkers. Loyal units would lock down safe rooms and secret roads. The Su-30s that Caracas bought from Russia are the backbone of that reply. Big, capable fighters meant to hold airspace and show force. Those planes can carry long-range Russian missiles and do heavy work, but they depend on fuel, parts, and good ground systems to be at their best. Think of how the U.S. found Osama bin Laden. Years of slow, steady work flagged a courier, and agents stitched human tips to signals and satellite images until they had a clear picture of one house. That mix of human sources, SIGINT, geospatial work, and patient watch gave planners the exact place and time to act. Then a small, precise raid by Navy SEALs finished the job. The raid used a tiny team, careful planning, and surprise to reach a high-value target with few extras. The lesson is clear. Loud defenses and fast jets can buy time, but the hard edge often comes from quiet work, finding the tracks, closing the traps, and using small teams or precise strikes when the picture is right. Maduro's planes and helicopters would make noise and try to shield escape routes, yet they face a different kind of threat: stealth, fused sensors, and patient intelligence that pin a person down before any big move can save them.